All right, well, here we are, Module 7, Lesson number 6, the last lesson. Congratulations, you have made it all the way through, and I know you have been getting lots of value out of it so far. In this lesson, it's about negotiations, and negotiations are a very subtle but very important technique in order to get the best deal sometimes. It's all about relationships. So that's what we're going to talk about here, is how to get the best deals through negotiating. So let's get started right away. And we're going to look at two different strategies. The first strategy is when you're dealing with a private deal, and that could be a for sale by owner, or it could be through your own marketing campaign where you are attracting potential sellers to you. So somebody, for example, it might be a pre-foreclosure ad that you've got out there and they've contacted you. So now it's how do you negotiate a deal? Or it could be through your rent-to-own program where you're looking for properties to put under contract as well. Just some ideas there. Then it's the conventional versus the conventional way. So with the conventional way, the property is listed on MLS or the equivalent of that in some sort of public marketing. And you have one or two real estate agents involved as well. So let's take a look at the private deals first. What you always want to do is you always need to step into the other person's shoes to understand what it is they're wanting, what they're expecting. And that includes what are their needs? What do they really want? Now, when you ask somebody what they want, they're going to say full price, just cash. That's what they want. Well, what they want and what they need are two very, very different things. And very rarely will people tell you what they need. It's only through building a relationship that you will really discover what their true needs are. And that's why you need to ask lots of questions, but more importantly, listen to the answers. So it could be that they simply want to free up time, or they may have a cash crunch with a secondary business or another property or whatever that's not doing well. They need some extra cash quick. Provide cash flow for their retirement, or perhaps they want to buy a different investment opportunity. Or they could simply just be tired of this whole game of investing in real estate. They've discovered it's not for them. There's too many headaches with the property management. Divorces can be a big one as well. And people aren't going to just jump out and say, oh yeah, I'm selling the house because my wife is leaving me. Well, actually, in some cases they will say that. I did deal with a woman who, she was the one responsible for selling the house, and when we contacted her, she made it very clear that it was through a divorce, and she just wanted to sell it for what they owed on it because she didn't want her husband to make any money on the deal. That's how nasty the divorces can be, but it's still very beneficial to you. All right, so that's an example of some of the needs that they may have versus the wants. Keeping in mind that their want and their need is going to be very different. So you're going to be very likely, to be successful unless you can become someone they like, trust, and want to sell to. So the question then is, how do you become this person? What you need to do is create a relationship with them. Build immediate rapport by talking about the top 3 most important topics to them. And here's a clue. In the top 3, the property is not in the top 3. Number 1 is going to be about them themselves. Number 2 is going to be about their family, especially their children if they have any, or their pets. Number 3 is going to be their personal accomplishments. So that includes their house, could be their work. What you want to do while you're there is compliment them on the condition of the house, the trophies that they have. If you see they've got a trophy or a whole series of trophies and or plaques about dart playing, all of a sudden you've become interested in darts. Maybe you already are interested in darts and you can share some information. But if you show some interest in what they are interested in, then there's going to be a natural attraction to each other. And people love to talk about themselves and they love to brag about their children. So let's go through an example. You are in a for sale by owner's house. They've contacted you, or no, you've actually contacted them because you drove by and you saw their house is for sale. So first of all, you want to be very complimentary about their home, especially if the woman is in the home, because if the woman is taking care of her house, her home is her castle. And she's going to be very proud of the fact that you've noticed how clean it is, how tidy it is, how well decorated it is. And again, it doesn't matter whether it is or it isn't. What you want to do is you want to appeal to their better side. You're looking for personal pictures to talk about. So if they've got pictures of the children or grandchildren, ask about them. Show some interest in them. Again, notice any awards or trophies. What you want to do is you want to get them talking about their accomplishments, allowing them to feel really good about themselves. They may be in a real down place in their life. You don't know where they are. That's the whole point. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find out what's motivating them. They could be in a really dark place. They could be in a situation where they need to sell the house because of financial reasons and they're embarrassed about it. So you need to be very sincere when you're asking the questions and with your responses, and be sensitive to their concerns. Pick and choose the opportunities to talk about the property. Don't go in there and just start going off about the property and trying to get the best deal for you. That is the absolute wrong way to do it, in my opinion. What you want to do is you want to find out what their needs are, and if you can satisfy their needs, then they're going to be more than willing to work with you as well. Now, if they happen to offer you a cup of coffee or a tea, unless the place is disgusting and you're concerned about food poisoning, then simply accept it. Be gracious. Be patient. Sit there and listen to their stories. If you allow them to talk, you will be amazed by the amount of information you will learn. That some of it's not going to be relevant, but much of it will become relevant to what it is you are trying to achieve, and that's buying their house at a fair price. Eventually, you'll be able to get to discuss the property itself, and at that point in time, that's when you start to gather information. Do not make any commitments to price or offering, or don't even say, I think the house is worth this amount. Simply gather the information, and what you're going to do is you're going to take the information away and you're going to evaluate it at home when you can compare it to real comparables and have the time to do the work properly. You're then going to go back and revisit the property 1 or 2 days later. What you don't want to do is you'd never want to appear to be excited or really interested in the property. You want to make sure that they understand this is your business and you run it like a business and you focus on the numbers. Even though they have shared with you all of this personal information, you can be very compassionate to them, but you don't fall into the trap and become emotional. Make sure they understand that this is a business. What you want to do is identify their pain. And this is the pain that you've discovered during your initial meetings with these individuals. So the pain could be their financial struggles and facing foreclosure. The pain could be that all of their children have moved from one coast to the other, and they're starting to have grandchildren that they never get to see. They maybe only see them every second year or something like that, and they want to be closer to their family. It could be for health reasons, and they want to move to an area that's warmer, and they just can't take the cold winters anymore. So there could be a variety of reasons. So what you want to do is you want to identify their pain, and then you want to intensify that pain. So bring it up and just say that, well, if you are unable to sell, then you could lose the property to the bank, which will ruin your credit and your ability to ever own again. Or, I hate to see you have to stay here another winter in this cold winter. It'll really bother your arthritis. These are sorts of things that you will say in order to intensify the pain. Bring it to the forefront of their mind. Then you want to make sure to explain your position very clearly and explain that you are an investor. It's your business. You purchase based upon numbers, not emotion. You want them to understand this position so that they're less likely to be offended if and when you give them a low ball offer. Then you make yourself ready to make the offer. Now, when it comes time to present the actual offer, everybody focuses on the price. They're going to be wanting to know what the price is. So you simply mention the price, but then say, don't worry about the price. Listen, let's go through the rest of the offer first before we focus on the price. Get their attention away from the price. Walk them through the entire offer from beginning to end, highlighting all of the benefits. An example would this be that, if you were to accept this offer today with the price that I'm offering today, the creditors will stop harassing you and your family. So that phone will stop ringing. Or if you accept this offer today, you'll be able to pack up and get out to the coast in the warm sunshine and be close to your grandchildren. You need to tap into that emotion for them. You also want to ask for everything under the sun in the house. Don't be shy. Ask for everything. You want to ask for the TV, the wall unit, any pictures, the gardening equipment. When you're going around the house, it's always good if you can identify the emotional attachments. So, for example, it could be, let's say there's a pool table in the room, and whoever the owner is, they love to play pool. Well, you would be wise to ask for the pool table, because when you ask for that particular item that they're going to have a really strong emotional attachment to, then they're going to become very focused on that and less focused on the price. So then what you can start to do is you can start to negotiate on the inclusions and the terms. And that's when the give and take starts to take place. And it's called reciprocity. If you say, well, gee, I really need that pool table. Well, then you get back to the price. And if they want to start dropping, if they want to bring the price up, well, I got to keep that pool table. Tell you what, let's keep the price where it is, but I'll give you the pool table back. So that's how you give and take a little bit. You want to make sure that they feel that they have won as well. If you just keep taking from them, then they're going to feel defeated. They're going to get their defenses up and they're going to fight back. So you want to make it a win-win situation. Always leave something on the table for the other person and make it a win-win situation. You want to empathize with them and you want to be sincere about it when you're doing this as well. Recently, I was working with a client who was looking at buying a single-family house, and they were of the mindset of getting the absolute best deal for themselves. They didn't care about the seller's position at all. And they'd been looking for 1.5 to 2 years with another agent before they started working with myself. And after we got looking at some properties and we started to make a couple offers, it became very apparent to me that they were all in it for themselves. They weren't making it a win-win situation. And they were getting frustrated because they weren't able to get the great deals. And I explained to them about leaving something on the table for the other person and making sure you understood where they came from. And it was like a major light bulb went off in their head. The next offer we made, they kept that in mind. And during the process of negotiating, we were asking for a fair number of things with the house as well, but we were able to give some of those back in order to get closer to the price we wanted. So in the end, both sides won, and both sides felt they won, and they both walked away feeling good about it. And that made my client feel very, very different, knowing that they were able to leave something on the table, but they were still able to get what they wanted as well. So it's very important to be able to do that. As an investor, always be willing to walk away from the deal and leave the offer no matter what. If you get emotionally involved, then you're going to always pay too much for the property. And there's no problem paying too much for the property if it's for your own personal residence and use, but when it's for an investment, it's all about the numbers and making a profit in the process. All right, so now let's take a look at negotiating in a more conventional manner when you're dealing with the property that's listed. So again, these properties are listed on MLS or some other public medium, and the question is, what do they want? Is it any different? Well, no, it's not much different at all. They still want full price. They want the cash as well. But is that what they want versus what they need? Well, they need to free up their time, relieve the cash crunch. It's very similar to the other as well. So it's similar to private deals, but this is secondary. So what needs to be primary? And why is it secondary? Well, in this particular case, if it is listed and it is a good deal, then there's going to be lots of competition out there. So you don't have time to sit around and see whether this is a good deal. Now, most people, the typical process when they're buying a property, whether it be a residential property or a commercial property, is once they find the property, they view it online, then they ask the agent for details to get financials of the property. Then they want to review all the information, analyze the deal upside down, inside out, ask for an appointment to go and look at the property to see whether they like the property or not. Then they're going to contact the lender to see if they can actually qualify for this property. Then eventually, when they actually get around to making an offer, they're going to make a lowball offer and try and negotiate the absolute best deal they can before they even have it on contract. Now, all of this is going to take a week or more. Now, during that week or more, what's happened is some other savvy investors come along and snapped it up. Well, how can that be? How could some other savvy investor snap it up without doing all this due diligence? Well, that's because there's a different process that you're going to learn to do starting today. So, as of now, when you find that property and you view it online, you decide right then and there whether it's a good deal or a bad deal. Now, the problem is people are going to say, well, I don't know what the numbers are. Well, you're going to base your decision upon the numbers that you have been provided. And the numbers that you don't know, you're going to make up and or assume. And you're going to make a decision whether you're going to move forward with it or not. So you make an offer. Now, in your offer, it's going to be subject to the usual things such as finances, inspection, lawyer review, documents, etc. But you're also going to put in another little condition, viewing within 48 hours of acceptance. So now what you're also going to do is you're going to give them what you think they will accept. So if it's a asking price of $500,000, but you are set that you are only going to pay $440,000, most people would negotiate up front trying to get down to that $440,000. In the meantime, somebody like myself or another savvy investor will come along, put it under contract for $485,000. Now, I may want to get it at $440,000 as well, but I'm not worried about getting it at $440,000 today. I just want to get it under contract as soon as possible. I will renegotiate that final price later. So, now it's under contract pending conditions. So while it's under the conditions and you're satisfying the conditions, now you're going to attempt to build some rapport with the seller. You're going to ask all kinds of questions of the owner or the manager and the tenants just to get a good feel of who you're dealing with. What's really the motivation in order for selling this property? Again, compliment them before asking questions. So don't go in there and start tearing the place apart verbally and making them feel really bad about it. Point out all the good things about the property. Make them feel good about it. And ask lots of questions. Use the due diligence to help renegotiate then. So after you have the inspection done, you knew going into it, you most likely knew going into it that it was going to need a new roof. Based upon the pictures, you knew that it was going to need new windows. But you didn't negotiate based on that initially. You waited until you had the inspection results so that you could then use the inspection report and the results to renegotiate a price down. So you review all the financials, and 9 times out of 10, the financials they provide you during the initial purchasing of the property are not accurate or truly reflect what the real numbers are. So once you reevaluate the financials and the price based upon the financials, you determine that the price needs to be adjusted as well. So when it comes time then to remove all of the conditions subject to a price adjustment, they're going to be upset. They're going to think, well, hang on, you bought the property based on all this, and now you want a price adjustment. Yep. Well, now I've determined that the rents aren't what you claim them to be, therefore the property is not worth what it is. The apartments are not as in a good condition as what you took a picture of one good apartment, but there's 12 others that are in desperate need of maintenance, repairs, etc. So you agree to remove all the conditions subject to a price adjustment. So now you're renegotiating the price for that property. So again, if my goal was to get it down to the 440, like your goal was initially, that's where I'm going to end up being down at that 440. It took me longer to get there, but I was able to get there because I had it under contract, whereas the average person weren't able to get there because the seller wouldn't go down to 440 initially. But what happened was, during that due diligence time, there was a psychology game being played here. In the mind of the seller, the property was sold. They are already planning on what they're going to do with the money, the proceeds from the sale of this property. They're excited. They may already have an offer on another property. In their mind, the property is sold and they're spending the money. Now all of a sudden you do this takeaway. And the moment you take that takeaway, they have to sit back and say, well, hang on. What do? Do we start all over and try and go through this whole process again and trying to sell it and find somebody else to buy it? Or do we simply give in and bring the price down to where it should be? Now, I'm not talking about stealing the property. I'm talking about paying what the property is truly worth. If the property is worth, if I put it under contract for $485 and after inspection I discover that it didn't need windows, the rents were accurate, and it was actually worth $485, then I would not be going after that $440,000 price in the end. I would give them what is fair, but I'm not going to overpay for a property either. All right, so let's do a quick recap here. When you're negotiating, you always want to make it a win-win. Win for both sides. Always leave something on the table for the other person. Put yourself in their position, and what would you do if you were in their position? How would you feel if you were dealing with an investor like yourself? So you want to learn what it's going to take to make it a true win for the seller as well, because if you can make it a win for the seller, then they're going to want to sell it to you. Going in, you need to know what your bottom line is. In other words, what's the maximum price you're prepared to pay for that property, and then stick to it unless new information that is discovered during the process tells you it's worth more than what you thought it was originally. Keep in mind, this is a business. Do not get personally involved. Keep your emotions out of it. Be willing to walk away from a deal. Understand the game of psychology here. The law of reciprocity, giving and taking. People are much more open to giving to you if you give to them first. Apply that takeaway strategy. I will, again, only if you need to get the price lowered. Be willing to walk away from it, and if they say no, I'm not going to lower the price, and you don't believe it's worth the price that you've agreed on. So again, using the example, if I've agreed on the original price of $485, but in my mind it's really not worth more than $440,000, I need to be willing to walk away from that deal and let somebody else buy it and pay too much for it. Know what you can do or not do legally as well. So with respect to writing the offers, creating the offers, and negotiating, know where the legal lines are and don't ever overstep your boundaries. And the last thing I want to share with you is look for problems. And a lot of people, they don't like problems in their life. But the reality is, the more problems you have, the more opportunities you have to solve them, the more money you will make. Start solving other people's problems. Look for their problems, solve their problems, and you'll have opportunity after opportunity falling in your lap. So that's it for me with the Creative Real Estate Investing course. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I know there was a lot of value in here, and I strongly suggest and urge you to go back and review these on a regular basis, because as you grow in your business, as you experience new opportunities, you can go back and revisit any of these presentations, and you'll say, that's what Ken was talking about. I see what he means now. That's a great idea. I can apply this over here now. And it's like reading a book a second or third time after you've experienced some more life. And that's what it's all about, is continue learning. I continue to learn every day. And I will be adding more to this program. What I will be doing in the not too distant future, I will be adding 2 more webinars, probably not until several months down the road. Give you time to digest all of this information. And then I will be posting 2 webinars, or two more modules. One module will be the step-by-step process I went through in one very creative purchase. And the second module will be a step-by-step process in the sale of a creative deal as well. So I will show you how I was actually able to apply the information that I've shared with you in this program. All right, have any questions? Please feel free to email me. It's been my pleasure to serve you and to share with you all of this information. I look forward to seeing you at the top. I look forward to seeing you at the live events, which we will host periodically. I will make sure you are informed when these live events will take place. And we'll just see you at the top. Take care. Bye now.